Welcome to the Get Trauma Informed podcast, dedicated to unraveling the complexities of trauma, its pervasive impact, and the journey towards holistic recovery and realignment. If your radiance has ever felt muted, like I and thousands of others, you're in the right place to reignite your inner light. I'm your host, Wellness Coach Liz Blanding, and this is the Get Trauma Informed podcast. All right. Well, welcome back to our third installment of Beyond the Battlefield of Trauma, our special mini series on overcoming military PTSD and civilian CPTSD with my co-host, Coach Rufus Carpenter. Sir, how are you today?
I'm doing very well, Dr. Liz, and you, Coach Liz. How you doing?
I'm doing well. That's okay. A lot of people call me Dr. Liz because of, my background in naturopathic medicine and such. So no worries, no worries. I'm doing well today. I'm truly excited about what we have embarked upon. It's, actually our recovery is something that is continuous. So even having these conversations, I'm feeling some sense of staying in recovery and being able to share that with other people so that they can understand that recovery is not a one and done. It's something that is continuous. So our self-care plan is something that we must continue to work on constantly. So how are you feeling about, this is our third installment. And so, it's a journey for both of us.
I feel good about what we're doing because it's getting something out. Because what you just said a few seconds ago, that the recovery, I guess we, as in me and others, have a choice. Now that we're aware, because we wasn't aware that you had to recover. There was a constantly recovery going on. We felt that was our life. Our life has changed and nothing we can do about it. We just make the best of a bad situation or make the best of what we have. And I turned to church was one of the things I turned to, and God and religion and philosophy. So that helped me out a little bit. But I didn't realize all of what you were saying, that I had to become aware and responsible for my recovery. And recovery was full-time something to do. I didn't realize that. And that wasn't part of my routine. So I suffered. And I thought my recovery was going, once a quarter, going to two different psychiatrists and taking drugs every day, because I take 3 pills every day. And so I thought that was my recovery. But listen to you now, I may need to reconsider some things. Go ahead.
I'm glad that that's actually, something that's, coming to the forefront, because I think a lot of us have that same misnomer that, okay, I'm recovered. I'm doing the things I'm seeing, like you said, once or twice a month. But then we realize that that truly is not enough, because we go back to the silent suffering. And part of our, experience with PTSD and CPTSD is isolation. And I think once we really understand that isolation is the enemy, even though it's a safe space for us to go to, it's a safe space for us to retreat to, it's still not the most healthy position for us to put ourselves in. And I think that's a common thread when you talk about military PTSD or civilian complex PTSD. There's a lot of similarities, and it's sort of, there's a lot of similarities, but there's also so much individuality, because just like our fingerprint, our fingerprint or our blueprint of recovery or trauma recovery is going to be very personal and very individual. So self-care is an absolute must.
You said something there, because I'm my other job is I'm a relationship coach with Glenda's Get It and Go LLC. I'm a relationship coach with them. And one of the things we tell people that's in toxic or abusive relationships, or somebody's controlling them or under manipulative partners or partnership, we tell them, say, hey, look, when the person gets you isolated and you start being by yourself, and they want you by yourself and you being by yourself, that's the first sign of mental health issues and mental health problems. And I didn't take that. When you just said it, I just thought about it for me, for my PTSD, a symptom. I didn't realize I took myself out of the crowd. I isolated myself. So the same thing true for what I'm telling my clients and the people my partners I consult with about the relationship coaching. I might need to use some of that for my PTSD myself. So thank you for bringing that up. That was a nugget that just struck home for me.
Right. Well, you know what? I think it strikes home for all of us because, oftentimes when we're in coaching positions or we're in, teaching positions or in just basically any type of position, people expect for you to have it all together. And one of the things I can relate this back to is when I was in my former industry, which was real estate. You would have people that would come to purchase a home and they would be professional. We're talking about doctors, lawyers, and such. They would be professional, but they're experts in their field and they weren't expert in the field of real estate. That's why you need those specific professionals. And so I relate that back to what we're talking about. We must, even in our coaching as a certified trauma recovery coach, abuse and addiction recovery coach, I still have to have check-in points every week, right? And to make sure that I'm staying in my self-care plan, that I make sure that, oftentimes people can trauma bond, bond through traumas. So make sure that I'm not bonding because I'm a very empathetic person. So they call it empath. So I take on other people's emotions and other people's feelings, and I don't just take it on, but I feel it myself. So in that type of capacity, yes, self-care is huge. And if I forget, I'll put me on the spot, on the hot seat, if you will. Mm-hmm. When I forget because I'm doing well and I just go about my day and I don't do those self-care practices, I relapse. So that's something that we have to understand. Relapse is real. Burnout is real. Overwhelm is real. Now think about this. If you're a workaholic, right? And that's what you use to cope, to soothe and what have you, right? You're a workaholic. And then you don't practice your self-care, right? So now I'm being a workaholic. I think I've got to my recovery state, but I'm workaholic. I'm doing all this, and then I don't exercise, or I don't drink my water, or I don't get enough proper rest, but I'm still in the grind of workaholism. So I'm abusing myself, right?
Wow, Dr. Liz, you just tapped right on my back. You got a camera on me somewhere in my house?
I'm telling you.
You got a camera on me? You just described me to the T. Goodness gracious.
Right. And that's how it works. It's a vicious cycle. And it keeps going on and on like a hamster on a wheel if we don't get a hold of it. Now, I just wanted to go back and talk, from just to review a little bit. We talked about, military PTSD, and we talked about civilian complex PTSD, and we rolled it out in our first episode. We talked about the differences and the nuances, and you even shared an amazing story about where the onset of PTSD started in the military in your situation. So then we moved on to hypervigilance, and we talked about what hypervigilance is. So if you haven't, go back to our episodes 1 and 2 on the beyond the battlefield of trauma, right? So now we moved on and we just touched on a little bit about OCD, meaning that, you do things repetitively, or you have to go back and you check a door, or like for myself, I've gone and gotten to a main street and said, oh my God, did I turn the iron off? And I would go back, I'll go all the way back. Iron is off, right? Door is locked. Get back in the car, go back, start again, get to the corner. Did I lock the door the second time, right? Can I go back? So think about this is a glimpse into the life of somebody that has, or that their life experience is PTSD or CPTSD. So we talked about that just to give you a little bit about, where we've been on this journey. And today we're going to talk about the fear, the worry, the stress, the overwhelm, and some of the triggers. So those are some things that we deal with on a consistent daily, hour by hour basis. Would you not agree?
Yes, but let me back up a little bit on that OCD.
Okay.
It made me a perfectionist and a fault finder. It made me both a perfectionist and a fault finder. And that added more layers of stress, more layers of worry, and more layers of fear on me. That one thing you said from yesterday, carry over into today, really speaks to the three topics, the three subjects of today, which is the worry, the stress, and the fear. My OCD brought all that on because I became a fault finder. That means I want to always look and make the system better or make sure we operated on the most efficient. And I had a high level of energy, so I wore people out. And then I became a fault finder. So those two things made me have a problem. As a matter of fact, I can remember when one day I was working and I couldn't quite get it to the level of efficiency that I needed to be. And that thing worried me so bad. I got in my car and drove to the water away from people on the work day and just left the office and drove to the water because I was stressing so bad. Some people might call it a panic attack, but it was the stress of worry and the fear that I wouldn't complete the mission. And that's that central theme throughout my life from then and still with me now is completing the mission. And in the military, I knew what the mission was. In civilian life right now, the mission is, operating my business and taking care of my family, my grandkids. They're getting at an age now where they're beginning to want things and doing things. They're coming to their own mind. So my mission now is to support, help, and cultivate them. And that's a mission too. Really, the mission is really too big for me, to be honest with you.
Right.
But because I have that OCD of that fear, stress, and worry, I take on something that's bigger than me. And a lot of nights I work until I fall out.
Yes.
Very rarely am I in the bed before 2:30, 3 o'clock at night.
Right. There is that. I'm glad that you pointed that out because we are comparing complex PTSD civilian to PTSD military. And when we look at it, a lot of those common threads of the result, what results when you are in those experiences, the result is the same. There's so many things that are alike here, so many side effect symptoms that are alike. As you talked about, being the mission. And when you kept saying that, I kept thinking, okay, this is military. But when you talk about mission, though, your mission in life, right? And mine has always been successful at business and building a legacy for my children's children. And I'm so grateful that my children's children are here, actually almost by the dozens now. I have 10 grandchildren now, y'all. We get into almost 12 here. But see, and then so being able to build that legacy and for them to watch my work ethic. But that's the one thing that I struggle with is the balance between the work-life balance, right? Because I've been so focused on once I get there, I can live this wonderful life with my children and children's children. And now looking up, my eldest grandchild is 10. And so, he watched me work and grind. And then they say, well, like my granddaughter yesterday, she told me, she said, I hope she wanted my business to be shut down, right? She wanted to be shut down for the day because she wanted me to play with her car, her electrical car, right? And then I thought about it. I was like, wow, I don't have that balance. And it goes right back to PTSD, right? Because I'm constantly on the grind for that mission, that destination. And it's really challenging for me to work in the middle of and enjoy the fruits of, like getting excited about, a milestone, excited and celebrating each success. I don't see that middle success. I'm just looking for that great pop, that destination. And that's why I've been able to put blinders on and go forward. But it's been an unhealthy pattern. So when we go back and we talk about the worry of not leaving a legacy for my children's children or creating that legacy for them. We talk about the stress, and that automatically brings on stress when you haven't accomplished that goal. Because, I'm reading The Success Cycle by Marcus Ogden right now, a fantastic read, because it helps you to understand that success cycle, right? And so it's like you're going to keep pivoting and you're going to keep changing and you're going to keep, upgrading and updating it or what have you. For somebody that's having the PTSD experience or OC or complex PTSD experience, that's a lot, right? It becomes overwhelming. It's like it's like Grand Central Station going on in your head. And you said that about being perfect. So I'm trying to paint that picture of being perfect, right? So I'm being perfect, but I have all these thoughts, all these ideas, and being a right brain creative, you have all this stuff coming at you at one time. So at the end of your day, you're completely exhausted because it doesn't stop. And that's what that experience looks like. When you said the mission and you said being driven and then being a workaholic, because that's your soothing. That's, and so this podcast is not just for the listeners, but I think we're coming into a greater understanding even within ourselves of how we're operating in this experience.
Yes, because when you said that, you and I are sharing our stories here in this series of events here. But I wonder how many of our audience can see themselves in our stories, because your stories were civilian related, mine were military related, but we're talking the same talk almost when you're saying the same thing that I'm saying. Because when you said your mission or your assignment or your priority, your vision for your life was business success and leaving a legacy for your children's children. And that's the same way I see it. The same exact thing. I may not say it or pronounce it the way you do, because you're so elegant with it. I'm just so country boy trying to do the best I can here. But
I appreciate that. Thank you.
How many of our audiences that listen to me, you speak now, can say, they feel the same exact way? Because it's kind of unique in the fact that you and I have found a way to make this bad situation, or this situation we're living with, we've found a way to help. And like God said, all things work together for good of them that love the Lord. So that we've found a way to make good of that, we can help people. But how many people that don't have that ability that you and I have? And a lot of people don't even know what it is. Like me, when I first had it, I just took that was life. That's the cards that was dealt to me. So let me keep playing.
Right.
So a lot of people that listen to us, I would ask that they take a moment and listen to what we say. And it's, I wish it was some way that they could get some of this stuff. This is going on. You can put this on YouTube, or this is what we're talking about now on type of podcast so they can get to it. You can tell them how to get to it.
Absolutely.
Please tell them how to get to this, because this is powerful. I wish I could have saw this, because I wasn't seeking out stuff for PTSD because I didn't think I had PTSD. I didn't really know. But if I came across something like this could have saved me a lot of heartache and worry, because then I would have known what was going on with me.
Exactly. So yeah, it's going to be on all of the major podcasting channels, the iHeartRadio, Spotify. It'll also be on Apple Podcasts. You can find it on YouTube as well. I'm going to post a series there. And so anywhere that we can find, and actually we're building a Facebook page for, listeners to be able to come in and interact with the Get Trauma Informed movement. And this is all a part of it. It's a mini series because we're addressing, and just something just came to me, and I love the way things are birthed when you're in your creativity, and so the PTSD and CPTSD experience, because that's what it is for us. This is what we live every day, and it is an experience. So it is the reason why we started the Get Trauma Informed Awareness movement, is so that we can really understand it, because I've walked through, all of the years of my life not understanding, and PTSD has affected, or CPTSD has affected my life from the womb. So I know it from, not even birth, but from inception, right? And that's something I think is a little bit, it was a little bit challenging for me to understand, because I was in denial for so long because of the embarrassment, the shame, and everything that comes along with it. But I think we can show that, no matter what your experience or your journey is, or your trauma is, or whatever you encountered, there is a way to work through it and to still live a good life that's, full of joy and full of peace, but you have to identify it and you have to call it out. Because if you keep swallowing it and you keep denying it, all it's going to do is get worse. It is a progressive injury, a progressive illness, that it just is what it is. And when you come to grips with it and you say, wow, okay, I don't have to, because I'm going to say suppressing it is also work. So why not do the work of getting it up and out so that it's not toxic in your system? So getting it up and out is what this is all about. And I'm very excited to be able to spearhead this, because I know there are so many people that suffer in silence. I mean, shoot, I've suffered in silence my whole life. And now I'm finally talking about it. And I'm glad we made the connection, and I just believe that things don't just happen by happenstance. They're happening for a reason, right? And so I feel like truly I'm walking in my purpose by giving this a voice. And the people that are suffering in silence, maybe somebody that's, on the brink. We have huge suicide rates because this can be so overwhelming that you're like, okay, anything can be better than this. I can't go any further, but we're here to let people know and encourage people to say, yes, you can. And we're building a community so that we do have somebody that really understands, and we can come into a room where there is no judgment, right? There is no comparison because everybody's trauma and everybody's recovery experience is different and it's their own. So having a safe space, I think, is tremendously important, because when your safety has been taken from you, and you have to walk through life on eggshells, we're saying this community is going to help you to build those relationships where we don't have to walk on eggshells anymore, and we can truly live in our truth.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Imagine driving down the road, enjoying a beautiful day, when suddenly a tree jumps out in front of your car. Crash! In an instant, your life is flipped upside down, both physically and psychologically. That was my reality. I'm Liz Blanding, a certified holistic wellness and trauma recovery coach. In a time when, according to the National Center for PTSD, the epidemic of trauma is on the rise, 70% of adults in the U.S. have experienced some type of traumatic event at least once in their lives. That's 223.4 million people who could benefit from support on their journey to recovery. To address this, I launched the Get Trauma Informed podcast in March 2024. Our podcast offers free information, resources, expert advice, and stories of those who have overcome trauma and shifted from surviving to thriving. The podcast has the capacity to reach hundreds of thousands of people. I believe that by partnering with the Get Trauma Informed podcast, we can provide critical support to many more people who need it. Trauma was not their fault, but recovery is their responsibility. And with your support, we can help them to achieve it. Thank you for considering the partnership opportunity. I look forward to the possibility of working together to make a significant impact on trauma recovery. Email us at info@oasiswellnessctrs.com or contact us at 616-320-0703. Now we will return to our Get Trauma Informed conversation.
When you said that PTSD, military PTSD, and civilian civilian trauma,
Right.
When you said that, you made me think of something, and that's why I had problems getting out, because my mind is on thinking. You said you took me back to your story when you started talking a little bit, and your story was that you went through the trauma in birth and you had the accident, and you had to recover from the accident. So when you were recovered, because you got hurt, each time you got physically hurt and you had to recover, even when you got abused, you had the wounds had to heal and all that stuff, and you had to get recovered. So you have that physical as well as that mental together to work through. So you had a period where you had to recover from the physical pain of it. Not so much the mental pain, but the physical pain.
Right.
So there was a connect. Me, on the other end, with the military pain, when they had the Scud missiles, and when I gave my episode about the people in the day room, and we were supposed to be in a gas attack, and they were taking, instead of putting their masks on, they're pulling at me and trying to get my mask off me to tell me something or get me to help them. And that was for me. That's kind of like just took me to someplace I'd never been before. So my PTSD started there. And I had to work within my PTSD. So it wasn't I didn't have a physical recovery. That my physical recovery, it wasn't a physical recovery, but mentally I had to walk through my PTSD mentally. And what I'm getting to, I wrecked 4 vehicles in Saudi Arabia because of worry, stress, and fear. I wouldn't go to sleep. And I would drive. I was so worried about completing a mission. I would drive a car when I was so tired and so sleepy, I should have been somewhere asleep. I'm driving a vehicle and crashing because I was worried that I wouldn't get everything done. And the stress on me was so strong that it created a fear that if I didn't do it, wouldn't nobody else do it? Let me get it done. So I get on the road and do it. After the fourth car wreck, they gave me a driver, a guy by the name of, it was Corporal Duhart then. And me and that guy are friends today. This was in 1991. And me and that guy are friends today because that guy actually saved my life because he drove from me that point on. I'd be sleeping in the passenger side and he'd be driving. And that, because even though he was driving, I still had that worry, that stress, and that fear of not completing the mission. So when, as a matter of fact, I wrote him a recommendation for the Bronze Star. And because he was so courageous in some things he did for me as being my driver, he was awarded the Bronze Star. So it's unique in the fact that when you go through it in civilian life, there's a trauma, there's a physical and a mental process you got to come through. In the military, for me, it was only a mental process. So that way I wasn't aware that I was damaged. I wasn't aware that I was hurt because I didn't have no physical thing within me. I had the physical reaction what other people did, but I didn't have a physical pain in me that I could relate it to. So I thought I was fine.
Right. Right. And I love the comparison that you just made. So I'm going to go a little bit deep right now because it just hit me to open up and be even more authentic. Yes, when you talk about the physical and the psychological trauma that I have endured in my life, I thought about it when you said that they appointed you a driver, right? And so therefore you were able to have, somebody to navigate through your mission. And so if we go back and we paint the picture of my journey through PTSD, which turned complex PTSD, if you think about a baby being abused in the womb, right? Because all it is chemical reaction is going on in the baby's brain. And the baby, instead of being in a safe silo, the baby's in fear, right? Developing in fear. So the connectivity does not connect the same. We talk about Erik Erikson's developmental stages. And if you go back even past his infancy to toddler, when you go back past that, you talk about the development. So the development, the disconnect, all of that happened there. But then you go a little bit further, and like I said, in talking about the attack on my mom from her estranged husband when he stabbed her in front of us, that's another psychological trauma. Nobody took that baby girl to any type of therapy or anything. It was just, okay, now our life has changed. We're on the run. We're hiding. We're doing those things. That's another impact of trauma. And then going through, witnessing, and sometimes you do what's comfortable. It's not comfortable for you, but it is, it, right? So going through, growing up in a domestic violence home, that's another psychological trauma. Then you go into that, and now you're attracting as you grow up because you didn't have those life skills, and because that trauma is still sitting there, you're still trying to seek out safety. So you seek out safety in unhealthy ways. And I'm saying, yes, myself, my story. You seek out relationships, and any relationship that feels comfortable or feels soothing, you end up in that relationship versus utilizing the correct steps of being in a healthy relationship, asking the right questions. No, it's like, okay, here's a safe space. So you tuck under a bad relationship, and that bad relationship gets worse, and you don't even know that you're going through that PTSD or whatever. You just know that you're soothed in the moment by some, in my case, big, strong arms is soothing you in the moment, but is misusing and abusing you all along the way. So that is another form of trauma. And then you get into a marriage. Again, a bad marriage because your picker was off, right? My picker was totally off, and I didn't understand why. But I didn't have the proper skills to select properly. And then people would say, girl, if you stick with one thing, you would be so great at it. But my OCD, my Patty Perfect, my trying to fix the mission caused me to go this business after this business after this business. And all of this, I'm thinking I can do it all together, divorced single mom. So now you're still in this whirlwind of, I got to be perfect. I got to get this mission done. I know I can do it, but soothing myself not with work or with bad relationships. And that continues to be that hamster wheel, that addiction cycle. You keep doing it and then smack dead into all of that. I'm helping somebody else and the tree jumps out in front of my car. And there I am. A bad accident at the top, find myself at the top of the hill, hold the tree holding me up for dear life, come to consciousness. And now I have all of these injuries, right? Now I have physical injuries on top of psychological. And I still have to perform. I'm a single mom with 3 children. And then the doctor say, well, if you don't get your knees replaced, you're going to be in a wheelchair and such and such and such. But I'm just saying, yes, you had that driver to navigate you to safety. Think about my story. I didn't have a driver. The only thing that I relied on was my faith and my belief in God. And my constant prayer is what got me to where I am today, because I don't know how I knew about naturopathic medicine, but it came in my spirit after my prayers and I started seeking that out. Got educated, certified, and all of that. And then wait, it's still some things missing. I need to understand more about this psychological part, because therapy is telling me and dictating to me what to do, but they're telling me what to do, but that doesn't resonate with me. It doesn't feel right. You're telling me what to do, but I don't understand why. I don't understand what is this? What's wrong with me? I don't want the medication. So now I learn more about the therapy of it. I learn more about coaching. I learn more about, wow, this is a real thing. So all of those years of therapy, I didn't understand PTSD or complex PTSD. And everybody say, oh, you're so different. You're so brilliant in this. But still, I have all these shattered pieces on the inside. So when we talk about the military navigating you through, the civilian part of it, I had nothing to navigate me through except for my faith and my belief in God. And that's what got me to where I am today, saying it's time for us to be aware, for us to understand what this PTSD can how bad it can damage your life. And as you continue to make those same decisions, your life just doesn't work.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Today's episode is sponsored by Oasis Wellness Center's home of Soothing Salve, an organic pain relief salve infused with over 30 natural herbs. It fights inflammation, provides pain relief, relieves stiffness, relieves dry and itchy skin, and it also improves circulation. Oasis Wellness Center's mission is dedicated to relieving pain, promoting relaxation, and restoring mobility. In order to grab your jar today, contact us at www.oasiswellnessctrs.com. Now we return to our Get Trauma-Informed conversation.
You said, Dr. Coach Liz, you brought out a lot of great points there. You really brought out a lot of great points. And there's 3 points, well, really 4, but I'm going to put them in 3 points that you brought up that I want to address, if you don't mind.
No, absolutely.
If you don't mind me being, because I'm going to use your story, if you don't mind. Okay. The first thing I need to say that, and I said yesterday, there is a place for medicine in this. There's a place for professional psychiatrists and therapists, because they help you sort through this, because this is something you can't do alone. Yeah. So you need that professional coaching, that professional help, that professional counseling, and you need somebody to help you sort through some of this. And that's probably the first leg of your defense, or the first leg of recovery, is to seek that professional help. And I encourage that. And that's something you did, and you said your way, you did that. So that's perfect, because they help you deal with the triggers. And we haven't talked about triggers, so we need to add triggers to that worry, stress, and fear. We need to add triggers to that, because a lot of people are not aware of what trigger things in their life. And as a relationship coach, I can't talk to you much about triggers, because as a relationship coach, I can't go into your past and say when you was a child, here's where it came from. Your mother beat your father beat your mom, and that's the triggers. I can't do that as a relationship coach. As a relationship coach, all I can ask you is where you are today and where you want to go. And I be that bridge between where you are today and where you want to go. That's as far as I can go as a relationship coach. For the triggers and stuff, you got to see a professional psychiatrist or a therapist. But what you said really made me think, because it's been proven that the first 7 years of a child's life shapes the whole rest of your life. The 7 years, and you talk from the womb to you're 3 years old, you struggle, you saw all these things. So when you gave your story about how you found the big, strong arms as a teenager or a young adult, and then you got married into a toxic relationship, you were already predestined for that. That's what you knew. That was the culture of your family. So that became the culture of your life. So you were predestined for that. That was unless something changed in your life, that was your trajectory in life.
Right.
Now, there's a Dr. Bruce Lipton. He said that a lot of our illnesses that we have attributed to our life is stress. Says stress is the biggest thing that's taking people out. Says stress is so powerful. It's so powerful that your body reacts to it in ways of illness and stuff like that. So what you're saying right now is that we're broken. I'm not gonna say we're broken people. I'm not gonna say we're broken people. We're people that have experienced PTSD, military, and CPTSD in civilian life. We've experienced, and because of these experiences, we have unique needs.
Yes.
How do we address this going forward, Coach Liz? How do we, what have you, because you've done a lot of work, and I appreciate the work you've done. And matter of fact, that's why I kind of hitch my wagon up to you, because I want to get some of the overflow. Blessings come to you, so I want to get some of those overflow blessings. So what do you have in store? What do we have to look for? If I'm tuning into Coach Liz podcasts and things, and I'm looking for some type of support or some type of help or some type of encouragement or meet up or share, what do you have? What do you have for us?
Right. Well, I want to address one thing too, and I'm going to give us we have an agenda here, you all. We have a calendar and a schedule here. One thing I did want to bring out too about what you just said as far as triggers. For the longest, I did not understand my triggers. And, like I said, going through some of the certifications and everything and understanding what triggers are, once we can understand the things that trigger us, we can do a mind shift. And those are the things that we're going to teach in our program. Okay. So we do have a live event coming up on July 25th from 6 until 7. In the live event, we'll be able to discuss some of the modalities, some of the things that I personally use for self-care. And I went into the holistic arena because that just resonated with me. So this is a no judgment zone. Is chocolate or vanilla is your choice and your experience. Some people resonate well, with being able to take, the medications or being able to be under a therapist or what have you. Some people choose a holistic arena where you have different, like I said, different modalities of self-care, such as yoga. I do a stretch yoga that helps me, right? And it just depends on what your thoughts are about that. We're not talking about getting into religions or anything like that. We're talking about deep stretching. So there are certain things that I do for self-care that has helped me to recover and continue in my recovery. So July the 25th, we're going to talk more about, the different ways for us to be able to take on our own care. And that's one of the things, journaling our own care and taking responsibility for it. I say it all the time that trauma was not our fault, however, recovery is our responsibility. And this is taking responsibility for your own recovery and your own self-plan or your own self-care. And then following that, we're going to open up an 8-week course. And the 8-week course is same entitled as our podcast series. It's Beyond the Battlefield of Trauma. overcoming military PTSD and civilian CPTSD. And it's going to be an amazing, amazing course. Some of the things that you are going to, or program, I should say, some of the things that we're going to talk about is establishing safe, supportive environments and understanding truly what PTSD and CPTSD is, or what that experience is like, really, giving you a picture of that. We're going to talk about dealing with the worries, the stress, and the fears. Quality of sleep is so very important. We're going to teach and talk about how we create that atmosphere to shut ourselves down into, I'll give you a little bit of a freebie right now. Hibiscus tea. If you drink it before you go to sleep, it starts to relax your body, and it actually helps work with folks that are like myself. I was dealing with high blood pressure, and that also helps. So we're going to give you tips that you can utilize that we've used that's helped us along the way as well. We're going to talk about the importance of nutrition and physical health, right? Every morning, I'm up stretching every morning. And yes, you got to let go of that pillow. But if you put yourself to sleep at night, and you're relaxing and you can get into that deep REM sleep, then you don't have a problem jumping up in the morning to get your exercise on maybe an hour early so you can get some meditation in. See, this is an experience, right? So we're going to change it from being a dread, because this is something that happened to us, to being something that is happening for us, right? To help us to walk into our purpose, right? So these are some things that we can do. We're going to talk about building and rebuilding relationships. And I know you, Coach Rufus, you can talk to us about building some good old relationships, right?
Yes.
We're going to talk about managing memory and cognitive functions. We're going to talk about and teach about body performance and our overall wellness. And then just integrating movement and moving forward. How do we move forward in this? And then after that, we have a goodie for you. We have a roundtable of support that we're opening up and that we are making available. The roundtable of support, it is going to be a weekly offering. However, within all of our self-determination, we can decide which sessions we want to attend, but it's going to be a weekly peer-to-peer. Let me explain why peer-to-peer is so important. Peer-to-peer shows you that we see eye to eye, that we understand because we're living it with you. We're in the trenches with you, right? And that's the difference. Peer-to-peer. So peer-to-peer roundtable and best practices, from what we've understand and studies have shown, that when you have accountability week to week to week, it helps you to achieve your goals, and it helps you to stay accountable to what you said that you're going to do. I've had an amazing coach, and we have Monday through Friday, we have spent an hour to an hour and a half for the last 4 years. And I can't tell you how amazing that has been and how much it's helped me elevate, grow, and stay accountable. I also have another accountability coach that we work together once a week. So again, it's up to you to determine what's going to be best for you. We can only tell you best practices. And so you're going to get a whole bunch of goodies as we move forward.
But that sounds more like a community to me. So that's like more like community support, that, you come together as a community, we become that tribe, and you're part of that tribe. So that PTSD and CPTSD become a support tribe now.
Absolutely.
Am I hearing you right? I want to make sure I got that right.
You are.
Okay.
And the thing of it is, because we isolate when we have that experience, part of it is isolation because you feel more comfortable in that. But that's not the best practice for us. If we truly, truly want to live our best life, or, perform better, if we really want that as our goal, then isolation is something that we must fight at all costs, because it continues to get worse. And trauma is progressive. So if you do nothing, it's going to do something. It's going to take over.
I'm excited about what you just said, but here's what my excitement really I want is that the 25th of July, which is not far from, it's less than a month from there, it's going to be a live event that they can actually see you and I, and we can see them, and we can talk live, and we can meet up.
Absolutely.
Like a meetup.
Absolutely, like a meetup, a big old community party, right?
Okay, so how is that going to be, like a Zoom, or how is that going to happen?
Yes, it's going to be delivered via Zoom, and we will have tickets via, I believe it's going to be Eventbrite, but we will talk about that on our next episode and make sure that everybody can connect. And then we're working very diligently on putting a Facebook group together. So before the live event, the Facebook group will be there and you can connect and get the information on Facebook as well. So we'll continue to grow this network, this community. And I think it's going to be so amazing because it's that safe place that we've all been looking for.
As a regular person out there, one of our listeners will be able to be seen and heard and be able to ask questions.
Absolutely.
Of you and I.
Absolutely. If they desire to have their cameras on, that's fine. If they desire to have their cameras off, that's fine. Because self-determination is so important when you're establishing a safe space.
And you and I be able to answer their questions and talk to them.
Ooh, yes, we will be able to.
Awesome,
you ready for it?
Live. All right, so it's a live virtual event.
A live virtual event.
You can do it from your couch or from your living room.
Wherever you feel comfortable, because that's the first step.
That. I'm excited about that. I can't wait. Let me make sure I put some more highlighters on that. I'm gonna highlight that.
Okay.
Okay. So live virtual event, July the 27th. What time is it?
July the 25th.
Oh, 25th. I messed up already.
That's okay. I'm going to make sure you understand July 25th from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Okay, so I'm gonna save that date. Let me save that date right
Absolutely.
now. Absolutely.
The only requirement is to register because you need you to register and you'll be able to get the Zoom link once you register.
Okay, so you say it's free.
It's free, yes.
Oh, so free. Okay, free live event. Okay, that makes a difference. Coach Liz, that makes a difference.
It's a free live event. But you know what, though? I want to talk to you about just a little special caveat here.
Okay,
we also have a VIP exclusive, right? So you'll be able to either attend the free event or you'll be able to attend the VIP exclusive. And with the VIP exclusive, you will be able to have a Q&A session. Okay, we're going to draft Mr. Rufus Carpenter, Coach Carpenter. We're going to draft you. So a Q&A session, our net group Q&A session. And drum roll, please. We have the Pathway to Trauma Recovery. That's an autographed book with over 14 different authors all over the world that come together to share their stories of either trauma and how they overcame their trauma. So that you'll get an autographed copy of that book and then a copy of this live event. And it's going to be exclusive to our VIP members or VIP ticket holders.
Okay. Awesome. So now the VIP is going to be a fee with the VIP apparently. Right. You give away all that stuff. So I want to make sure I understand.
Yes, the VIP is going to be, drum roll, $47.
Okay. So I want to make sure I'm straight. Okay. So to just be a general public, just general admission to view it free, you can view it free for no cost at all.
Right. You can view it and you can also be a participant in it as well.
Okay. For free. Okay, free.
Absolutely.
Okay, then that's good because I want to make sure everybody can have it. I want to reach as many people we can reach.
Absolutely.
And then if you want the resources of the book, you want the resources of this taping, as you can listen to it at your leisure, always be yours. You got that, and then you can talk. They can come backstage, kind of like backstage a little bit, and talk to you and I. We'll answer the questions.
Exactly.
Awesome. I need to see if I can find me $47.
Absolutely. Okay, I just thought about something too. I'm a giver, so I really love to give. So I thought about something as well. For the person that brings the most people, we're going to have a surprise gift for you as well. So awesome. The person that brings the most people to the event, we're going to have a little bonus for you as well. So it doesn't matter if you come on the VIP exclusive or if you come into the free event, you bring the most people and we're going to have a special gift just for you. And I think that's about all I can give today.
And next week we'll tell the people how to get on, how to do it.
Yes, episode number 4. We will tell everybody how
to do it. We'll start advertising that. That's perfect. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Thank you for doing that, Doctor. Coach Liz. Thank you for doing that, Coach Liz. I appreciate that.
I appreciate you as well. Thank you for everything that you bring to this forum and being so open about your stories of, military PTSD. I know it's for either one of us. I know this is not an easy journey to open up and be transparent, but I know that our pain was not in vain, that it was for not just for ourselves or for suffering, but it was for helping other people to hear and to have a voice for this, and end this suffering in silence, right? Just to end the suffering in silence as much as we can. So I think that's it for today. I mean, we've gone our journey. Is there anything else you want to add before we wrap it up for this session?
No, I can tell you, I know people saying, how in the heck you wrecked 4 cars? I'm going to give you one of the ways I wrecked. And this is silly. I went to pick up a guy. This was like 5 a.m. and it was just getting light. It was Saudi Arabia. And I went to get this guy, and he lived in a barracks away, and I went to get him. And I parked out in front of the barracks where he was at. I parked out in front of the barracks, and then he said, I'll be there in a minute. So I went and sit back in the car, and I kept the car running for the air because it's so hot in Saudi Arabia. And for some way, I don't know how it happened, some kind of way I had the car in drive, and I hit the building. I fell asleep and hit the building.
No.
Accident number 1.
They did the right thing by assigning you a driver. I'm just saying.
Yeah. That was it. All right, that was it. I just had to share that one because I had to laugh because I laughed at it too afterwards.
Well, you have 4, and we have a couple more sessions to go, so maybe you'll share those other 3 with us. Thank you all. Thank you so much for being here today. You all have a wonderful day, and we will talk with you soon. Get ready for the live event, May the 25th, and we'll talk with you soon. Bye for now.
Bye, everybody.
It's time to buckle up. No more suffering in silence. Our Power Pack journey to recovery and realignment starts now. Remember, you were collateral damage on someone else's warpath. Trauma is not your fault. Recovery, however, is your responsibility. I'm your host, Wellness Coach Liz Blanding, and this is the Get Trauma Informed podcast.